Hey y'all. As you can see, I'm not really in my same place. I'm actually at Irvin's house watching WrestleMania Night 1. We didn't have a chance to watch it last night, so we actually just finished it. And I'm going to be honest with you. Night 2, bring up your A game. I hope y'all are on your A game. Because Night 1 was really, really good. And I really was upset about the women's build going into this, but it shows that they had to up their A game. And honestly, besides the main event, for the women's in general, I gotta give it to Rhea and Charlotte. They were definitely the match of the night for the women's division. And the other matches themselves were not that bad, but they kind of topped it. And they told a lot of story in the ring, especially going towards the end. Now I knew that Irvin would probably like it because he's kind of into the whole suspension of disbelief type of thing, to where if you do a move on them to knock someone out, you knock someone out. And let's just say with Charlotte, the ending fit. And man, they really, really stepped it up. But people can't talk about Charlotte anymore. Not after this. Not after this. She actually behaved like a queen. She knew, even on Twitter, for those that haven't seen it, she actually believes now the belt's in good hands, and she congratulated Rhea. I think that's the best way to go. That's a very queenly way to go, and that was one of my favorite matches of the night. Now, my worst match, let's just say the opener sucked. And the fact that John Cena pretty much annihilated Austin Theory in the worst possible way, to where he pretty much just violated him on the mic. And then Austin Theory was humiliated from pay-per-view to pay-per-view, especially by Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. You would think that this match would actually make you believe in the theory. I don't. I mean, I'm sorry. It just seemed like John Cena kind of laid down and just said, hey, just finish me. That's pretty much what he kind of did. He didn't really step it up or anything. It was disappointing. But the hidden gem of the night definitely was Seth versus Logan Paul. I'm not a big fan of Logan Paul. I don't like the guy. I think he's a total douchebag. And I think the right man won. But how they did it, I mean, it made sense. You had Seth that was pretty much a veteran, and this guy from the internet's coming in and trying to take over. It was done really well. It was one of those hidden gems that I think a lot of people will like and go back to. And honestly, I liked the finish. I really did. It was satisfying. Really satisfying. But the Trish and Lita match actually was surprisingly good. I honestly didn't think it was going to be that good. I was kind of thought that Lita was rusty because the last time she was in the ring, she damn near killed herself. So I'm happy that she was actually kind of changed her moveset, and it was highly impressive, especially what she did. And I think it was with Dakota Kai, and she really did a lot of new moves in her arsenal that actually did fit her character without diminishing it, without having to go back to her dangerous ways. So I really enjoyed that. Trish was Trish. She would usually do the Trish thing. Becky was Becky, but she still brought her A game in this and brought a lot of energy into it. Bayley and Becky, can we get a one-on-one? A one-on-one at WrestleMania between those two? A good build? I'd rather see that than Damage Control, because Damage Control is damaged. They're done. We don't need to push them anymore. They're not going to. We're not going to believe in them. It's time to split them up. And unfortunately, they didn't really do them justice when they were together. It's time to split them up now, especially with Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai is practically the leader of the group. And Bayley's just there. She's lost so many times, nobody really considered her their leader anyway. Mm-hmm. But the match was still good, even though Damage Control needed the win far than Becky did. I don't agree with the outcome. I think that Damage Control needed a big win, and it really would have been, but something tells me they plan on splitting them up. That's probably why they did it. But man, I mean, these matches, especially Pat McAfee showing up out the blue to just stomp on The Miz. Pat McAfee is that dude. I'm satisfied with seeing him on my screen every single day. But that match, what is supposed to be a match, is more like comic relief, but it still was satisfying to see him there. And as for the Mysterios, I didn't really care for this match. I should, but I don't. Why? Because I really believe that Rey Mysterio overstayed his welcome. He should have retired a long time ago. His peak was in Lucha Underground. I don't think he did a good job trying to make Dom his own. He tried to make him more like him. So I understand why Dom resented him. But Dom, as a character, even though he's a joke in Judgment Day, the guy really did bring on some massive heel heat to get people to hate him. And I think that's a good move. Plus, we finally saw what he could do versus his dad, which is something I think that should have happened a long time ago. But I'm not these type of people who would have a joygasm seeing Rey Mysterio beat his son with a belt. I'm like, we knew it was coming. But either or, it was a good match. The outcome, I don't agree with. I don't think that Rey should have won. I think that Rey should have lost, and I think that this should have cemented Dom to be a dominant heel. I think the wrong person won here. Even though people say, well, Dom got his comeuppance, that should happen later, not now. If you're trying to build a heel, you want him to be so hated to where his comeuppance is satisfying. JBL is the ultimate example. When he lost to John Cena, that was incredibly satisfying. And then he was gone for a long time because he was dominant for so long and annoying for so long. And when he lost, it was satisfying. I wish we saw that with Dom. But now that Dom lost, he's not going to really be taken seriously as a heel now. But other than that, night one was impressive. I thought, in the main event, good grief, it hit me in the feels. It really hit me in the feels. I didn't think I would care that much about a storyline until Sammy came in. I cared first about Jay, but then I cared a lot more about Sammy, and the outcome was just gold. And how they had Sammy in the ring and Jay, and how they ended it, gold. Good job. I think night one definitely was probably one of the better WrestleManias I've seen in a long time. And night two needs to step it up. But Irvin, what did you think about that?
Okay, rewind back to the beginning. John Cena versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. The right man won. Could it have been better put over with Theory getting put over better by John Cena? Sure, it could have been better done. That said, the right man won. I can't say I minded how it ended. And it's a spoiler alert. And ends with, well, let's just say, John Cena, you really don't want kids? I think Austin Theory made sure of that. I think he made sure of that at the end. I mean, the right man won. Could it have been better done? Sure. But, hey, that's all I care about. Austin Theory definitely had to win that match, and he did. As for the four-way tag team match, I'll be honest. I did not expect much from this match. It surprised me. I mean, the Viking Warriors actually looked serious. They're not jokes anymore. The Street Profits, for once, yeah, they climbed around at the very beginning. But once the match got started, for once they were serious. For once. Strowman and Ricochet, even though they're not a real tag team, they looked pretty good. And I saw flashes, when I saw Ricochet in there, I saw flashes of Prince Puma, honestly. Mm-hmm. Honestly. I mean, people might say, well, what's the difference? Ricochet and Trevor Mann as Ricochet and as Prince Puma does the same moves. But when he's Prince Puma, he has more energy with it, more aggression with it. And that's what I'm saying. He had more aggression with his moves in this match. I was like, this ain't Ricochet. This is Prince Puma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like when Seth Rollins had his feud with Matt Riddle last fall. And then they went in that shoot where he went in on Matt Riddle's family. I was like, that's not Seth Rollins. That's Tyler Black. Yeah, because that would be more something he would do as Tyler Black, not as Seth Rollins. Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh. And then, of course, going back to the tag match, Chad Gable, Kurt Angle's real son, and Otis, they did their thing. They did their thing in there. I was impressed by the rolling chaos on Braun Strowman from Chad Gable. I was impressed with that. I was like, whoa. The Street Profits won, which I didn't expect them to win, but I didn't mind that they won. Because for once, they weren't clowns. Mm-hmm. For once, they weren't clowns. They actually were serious. That's why I've argued with this. I said the Street Profits, when they're serious, they actually can get down.
Yeah.
They actually can win, and when they're serious, they can win. And you saw it last night, rather. The 6-woman match, I gotta admit, I did not, because the build on all the women's. Let me put that out there right now. The build on all the women's matches has been horrible.
Right.
Has been horrible, especially the title matches, which one of them I'll get to in a second. But I gotta say, the women brung it, at least for night one.
Mm-hmm.
The women brung it. Because they knew their build sucked. They knew their build sucked. I mean, they may not say that on TV, but behind the scenes, they knew their build sucked.
Yep.
So they had to bring it. Trish and Lita did Trish did her thing, her usual stuff. Lita changed up her offense a lot. She still did the moonsault and stuff, but a lot of the more dangerous stuff she used to do, she cut that out. And she replaced them with moves that actually make sense for her.
Mm-hmm.
And are effective looking. The star of the show, I have to say, the star of this match, I have to say, Lita and arguably Dakota Kai. They were the stars of this match. And I kind of got a feeling, I said, okay, one of two things there. Either there's going to be the beginnings of a breakup with Damage Control, or there's going to be a heel turn by Trish. Because there have been rumors of that. But I think it's more likely the breakup of Damage Control.
Mm-hmm.
Breakup of Damage Control. But, I think Damage Control needs to win more, but it is what it is. It is what it is. With Trish, Lita, and Becky Lynch winning. After Becky Lynch did the rock bottom from the ropes on Bayley. And yes, I am going to call it the rock bottom, because that's what it is. Or if you're going to call it anything else, call it the Uranagi, the original name of the move. Call it the Uranagi. It's the Uranagi or the rock bottom. Nothing, everything else is, any other name is a cheap substitute, like Booker T and the Bookend.
Oh, gosh.
Or Becky Lynch would call it the manhandle slam. It's the rock bottom or the Uranagi. It's one of those two. Anyway, speaking of the other women's match, Charlotte and Rhea. Now, the main event deserved to be there. Let me say that up front.
Right.
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and I'll get to that in a second, against the Usos. It deserved the main event. Mm-hmm. That said, based on what I saw, now going in, I would not have agreed with that. I still would have said Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos. Going in. Coming out, I still say they deserved it. But if they would have changed it to Charlotte and Rhea, I couldn't say nothing. I could not say nothing. Honestly, the way that match went and the way that match ended, you would have thought that was the last match, actually.
Yeah.
You would have thought. You would not be blamed for thinking that was the main event. They actually brung it. I'd say this is easily the best match of their series of matches. And they've had some pretty good... I think they've only had one dud, and that was, I think, at that Backlash back in 2021. That's the only dud they've really had. Mm-hmm. All the rest of them have been good to also... And this is easily their best match. Now, the Pat McAfee thing, she loved it. It is what it is.
I like Pat McAfee.
I just took it for what it was. Miz is basically the Rodney Dangerfield of wrestling. Gets no respect.
Yeah.
None.
Okay, I take it. Yeah, I agree with that.
He's the Rodney Dangerfield of wrestling. He gets no respect. No matter what he does, no matter how impressive he is. And he's had some impressive things. 2-time WWE champion.
He's a Grand Slammer, 2-time Grand Slammer. And nobody pays attention.
Yeah. 2 or 3-time Intercontinental champion, which actually his Intercontinental reigns has been more impressive than his world ones, to be honest.
True.
To be honest. A 1-time U.S. champion. Multiple-time tag champion. That man, say what you want. He's bending over Maurice. Got 2 kids with her. He's been in movies. I mean, he ain't been in no big movie, but still, he's been in movies. I mean, he's the guy that no one expects to see make it. He came from the real world. He was viewed as a joke in wrestling from day one, for myself included. He was viewed as a joke. But look where he is now.
Yep.
And he still gets no respect.
And
He's
winning in life, but nobody cares.
Yeah, he's winning in life and nobody cares. He's the Rodney Dangerfield of wrestling. No respect. No respect. Despite the fact that he's living better than even people on his level. Let alone the ordinary man.
True.
He's living better than a lot of people on his level.
True.
So, yeah.
So what did you think about the main event?
Ooh. Best storytelling. Now, the best match, going back to the Charlotte Rhea versus Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Usos match, which one should have main evented? I still say the tag match deserved the main event. Now, if I was going to say which one was the best match, Charlotte and Rhea, easily. Now, which one was the better story? I got to say the main event. The main event had the better story. I understand totally why they had let that main event, because it had the stronger story.
Mm-hmm.
It had the strong story. You had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, longtime frenemies, going all the way back to PWG, that's Pro Wrestling Guerrilla out in California, ironically, to Ring of Honor, to NXT, to WWE. These two have been frenemies for years. They reunite back together to take on possibly the greatest modern tag team in WWE history. The Usos. And on the low, there was talk they were dedicating this match, off camera, of course. They dedicated this match to the Briscoes. Now, when I say the Briscoes, I always like to clarify. Because if I say this to an older fan, they're going to think Jack and Jerry Briscoe. Yes, the guy that used to be the stooge for Vince McMahon. At one time, he was an actual formidable wrestler. Mm-hmm. He teamed with his late brother, Jack Briscoe, who was a legendary NWA World Champion on his own. But they were multiple-time NWA World Tag Team Champions. The modern fan, if I say Briscoes, they're thinking Jay and Mark Briscoe. Unfortunately, Jay, he recently passed away in that horrible auto accident. May he rest in peace. This was dedicated, from what I understand, to those Briscoes.
Yeah, the older Briscoes was known as the Briscoe brothers. And the Briscoes that came from ROH was known as the Briscoes.
Yeah, and there was a lot of difference in styles, too.
Mm-hmm.
The Briscoe, even though they did cheat and stuff, sometimes Jack and Jerry were classic wrestlers. Whereas the Briscoes of the modern era, yes, they could wrestle, but they were more known as brawlers.
Mm-hmm.
Your wild country street fighters with keen wrestling minds. Particularly the one that died, Jay Briscoe. Particularly.
I think it was in the actual after WrestleMania press conference that they mentioned that they actually were dedicating it to Jay Briscoe.
Yeah. And it was. They pulled out moves that they haven't done. And I even pointed out moves. Like, there was a part where the Usos was getting ready to do something to Kevin Owens on the apron. Sami Zayn stopped it. Sami Zayn hooked up. I was like, oh, Regina, here comes the brain buster on the ring apron. She was like, what? I was like, watch. Sure enough, he did it. And she was like, oh. I was like, yep. They pulled out moves. They haven't pulled out the only moves that was actually their best moves, but they won't let them do it at WWE. Kevin Owens used to have a move called the package pile driver, where he literally would hook the person's head down, pick them up, have their legs hooked, have them up. Now, the head would always be more like here, so it wouldn't hit the ground. Had them up because the guy's totally unprotected. Have them up, boom! And their finisher used to be that, but then he throw him up to Zayn as El Generico. Generico would hook him up, boom, brain buster, hit him. And I was like, it's as great as that looks. This is murder. This is murder. The man is dead. He takes a version of the pile driver and then he gets brain busted. No, he's dead. He's crippled for life or he's dead. He's dead. They won't let him do it in WWE. In fact, that's not even the most dangerous move Sami Zayn has. The most dangerous move is the brain buster on the top turnbuckle, where he literally picks him up like he's going to superplex him. But as he's bringing him back, he pivots, turns, and drops him on the top turnbuckle. I'm surprised they didn't bust them out tonight, but I don't think Triple H and them going to let them do that.
The match itself.
But the match itself didn't need it.
No, it didn't. It had a lot of heart. It was more heart in it between Jay and Sammy. And it told a story with those two more than Jimmy and Kevin. They were just there, but that still was fine. It told a great story in the ring. The moves were incredible. It just fit the overall story, and it hits you in the feels so hard.
Yeah, and it was for the tag team titles, which honestly, you could have did Jay versus Sammy 1-on-1.
Yeah.
It probably still would have worked.
To be honest, I think
but
they're
it was
going to
bigger,
split it up. I think they're going to divide the belts probably on SmackDown because that's where they both are. So they might just split them up on SmackDown and just have it vacant and send it to Raw. Because there's a rumor that Cody Rhodes is actually bringing back the Wing Eagle belt. And he did the same thing with the IC belt. For those that see my videos, you know the IC belt in the background. He brought that back when he returned. And I think it was before he was dashing Cody Rhodes. He's talking about bringing back the Wing Eagle belt. There's a good chance that that's going to happen. So they're going to probably redesign those tag belts. That's my theory. So they're going to split them up. And I think that's what they should do because they kind of booked themselves into a corner, making Raw incredibly weak with no main belts to have. So they should do this. But honestly, for night one...
Night one was better than I thought.
Oh my gosh.
I don't regret going to the Motown tribute concert, Get Ready.
No.
I don't regret going to that, but at the same time, I'm sure we would have been lit.
We probably would have passed out with the exhaustion of emotional drainage if we stayed and watched it live. But even watching it again in the replay, I feel that way. I don't know about him, but it was great. I enjoyed myself. I think it's probably one of the best WrestleManias that I have seen straight up. Not one boring match on the card. One disappointing, but not boring. There is a difference between disappointing and boring. But there wasn't a boring match on the card. At least not to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not to me either.
So, guys, if you want to see our reactions to actually watching it live, Irvin is putting it up on his channel.
Yeah, it won't have every match, but it'll have some of our best reactions.
And mostly mine, because, I was pretty much screaming my head off for one of the matches of overall outcomes. But if you want to see our reactions, definitely check out his videos. He's going to be putting it up on his channel. I'm just going to have the review on my channel, especially for night 2. But night 2, we're going to be watching it with Club Atlantis. We're probably going to be doing a Zoom call, and we might upload that later. So that's going to be one reaction with everybody here. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more wrestling reviews, definitely check out my channel, as well as check out Irvin's channel. And especially anything else that's like any type of other conversations and stuff like that. We're going to have it on both our channels. But anyway, guys, we're going to prepare for WrestleMania Night 2, and we'll see y'all later. Peace out.